Hello and welcome to Awakened with Lea, the next chapter. I'm your host, Lea, and this show is about bringing to the forefront diverse guests who have experienced adversity and major or minor transitions in life so that we can provide our viewers with courage, confidence, and tangible tools to navigate any challenge in life with the lived experience and wisdom of our guests. I'm so excited to introduce everyone to Tamiah Johnston, creator and founder of Peace Community and owner of Connecting with Peace. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I am so honored to have you here today and for you to be sharing your experiences with all of our viewers. And I understand that you have many transitions that you have experienced that you are so willing to share with us today, and we appreciate that.
I think a lot of us have so many transitions, right? So yeah, I'm happy to share whatever I can to help people.
Thank you. So can you take us back to some of your earlier experiences that shaped who you are today?
Sure. And I mean, we kind of spoke about this before, how far back to go. But I think a quick way to maybe begin would be in my late teens. I had gone away to college and a second round of whatever courses, and basically came home and was diagnosed with depression. So leading up to that point, I look back and you think like, oh, it was such a great upbringing and we went camping and but then I think around the age of 9, then I had a few kind of tragedies and challenges in life that I held on to and probably just tucked away and focused on taking care of others rather than dealing with what I had gone through. And I think it all exploded in my teen years when I then came home and was diagnosed with depression. So I think that would be a really big kind of turning point and learning in my life. I remember near the end, I think it was about a year, which I'm lucky because I've met many people who have suffered from depression for, oh my gosh, lifetimes. So near the end of the year, I remember thinking, I would never wish depression on my worst enemy. It was just such a struggle and a challenge, but I pulled through, obviously.
Well, I can hear how painful that must have been for you. How exactly did it play out for you, this depression?
So basically, like I said, I was away. I wasn't very healthy, so I didn't even know what was going on. I knew that I didn't feel right, and I was super sad. All I wanted to do was sleep. So basically I came home and my mom was like, you need to go to the doctor. Like, I don't know what's going on there. So I went and oh, what a great doctor. She basically was like, so you're depressed? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Have you met me? Like, I'm always happy and it's me and I'm not depressed. And she's like, please hold. And she grabs a pamphlet and hands it to me. So basically I was like, oh, I guess I am. So kind of what it looked like. And it's really like surreal to think back. I'm 42 now, almost 43. And when I think back to it, I was like 20 and I didn't want to live. I didn't care whether or not, like, I woke up. I would go to sleep and be like, maybe it's just better if I die. Like, nobody's going to miss me. Everybody, like, I'm not worthy. Like, I don't need anything in this world. The world doesn't need me. So I would literally wake up, and my mom, she worked at a school, and so she had to get up and leave for work, but she would literally call me from her work. I don't even know how many times a day. Like, the woman is a saint. And I remember she would come home from work, and there were some nights that as a 20-year-old, I would be sitting on her lap, just in her arms, like sobbing, just because. And I think it was all, like I said, everything came to a head right? Like my soul kind of went, whoa, like you need to deal with your stuff and you need to deal with it right now. So it manifested physically. And yeah, so it looked like a lot of sleep, not eating, not working. I parked, I loved my Jeep. I used to drive this little Jeep. I literally pulled insurance. It was parked in my aunt's driveway. Like I did nothing. I lost all of my friends. I had one friend who then she came back and kind of checked in on me, but like I lost everything. And then I had a dog who was like, we were fostering, that was supposed to be a service dog for someone else. And I swear between my mom and that dog, that's why I'm sitting here alive. And it was a slow process. My mom would, once I started to get kind of out of the I want to die phase, then it turned into, okay, my mom would say, she'd leave a little list and it would be like, walk the dog, dust the living room, and clean the bathroom, right? And this is a 20-year-old but it's like I was literally just learning how to live again. So I started these lists and then the list got longer, and then like walking the dog, I was like, oh, I'm outside, I'm breathing air, this is cool, there's sunshine, so then I just kind of started again from there.
You mentioned that there were a lot of things going on prior to that time that you suppressed, did not, face those issues, and it played out in the form of this severe depression that you were experiencing. Mm-hmm. So at which point did you have the opportunity to address those issues, and what specifically did you do?
That's an interesting question, because I feel like it was a process and it was gradual. So it wasn't like I all of a sudden worked with a therapist and was like, oh, I need to deal with all this, let's fix it, and it was done. It was a slow journey of personal development. So very much I've always been into like being motivated and reading motivational quotes. That was my mom. She had quotes all over the house, on the fridge when we were young, like just really neat, Eleanor Roosevelt, like all sorts of quotes, and like Gandhi. And we always read, and I would read books, Tony Robbins, Robin Sharma. That's like early days. And then The Secret when it came out. But so I think a combination over the years of personal development is what did it. So I went within and kind of went, okay, here's the stuff. And not even knowingly, because I think I didn't even fully resolve all of my feelings of guilt and whatnot, which was from when my father passed away. I don't even think I resolved those entirely. I mean, I don't even know if I fully resolved them now. Who knows? Life is such a journey. We're always learning. But I would say in my 30s. But so a combination of working with myself, reading, listening to motivational talks, and then also doing coaching, like life coaching, rapid transformational therapy. And I did that recently. So it's that constant growing, and then kind of going, oh, wait a minute, there's still a little piece of that. Ooh. And then you kind of slowly resolve. So I think it's a journey. So yeah, it's progressive. And I do believe that all of the things that caused that breakdown have been fully resolved in my 42-year-old body. Yes, at this time entirely.
You're absolutely right. It's a constant journey of learning and growing. What would you say specifically you learned that helped you move forward?
I think a lot. This is an interesting question. What did I learn? I think self-worth. I think the full acceptance of who I am, my journey, trust in myself, and that full love. So before, it was always like, I don't know, I don't want to say, so before it was like, okay, this is my story. Yes, it sucked. Not that I ever fully played victim, but I think I had those thoughts. where it's like, okay, well, this is what I've come from, so maybe this is as far as I'll go. And realizing that we're all in charge of how we feel and what we give out to the world, no matter what we've come from. It doesn't matter. Everyone, you can make a victim story out of stubbing your toe. You could do anything, right? Like, but the point is, once I learned that, yes, this stuff happened, cool, that helped build who I am, but that doesn't commit me to a life of misery and poor me. And, you know, all that does is add to my character of who I am. So it taught me to just fully love my story, love who I am.
It sounds like having that awareness really allowed you to start having that self-worth, start to get to know who you are.
Yeah.
And with that awareness, what beliefs did you need to shift in order to take you from challenge to opportunity?
I mean, there were a lot of, I would say, financial beliefs. So a lot of things that were ingrained, thinking, okay, you know, and I mean, a lot of this is society, right? How we're raised. You know, go to school and you get married and you do this and you have a career and you have kids, like all this. And I think once I let go of all of those influences that I grew up with society wise, and looking at our like teen magazines and Bop and all that, right? Like once I was like, okay, external judgments, opinions, and thoughts regarding my life are really none of my business, which is, there's a quote, right? Like, what people think of you is none of your business, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's truthful. It's like, as long as I'm living in a way that I know is honorable, it's full of integrity, I'm helping others, I'm contributing to the world, because I do have a lot to contribute, right? And as long as I keep that mindset, that's a good one, keep that mindset at a level that is optimum, that's the key, right? Like, and I think having tools in place so that when your mindset slips, you can kind of go, okay, all right, here's what I need to do. I got to reset, because I can't fall into that way of thinking. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great perspective. So how did acceptance play a part in your healing journey?
It was like a big sigh of relief, you know, like it's tiring trying to keep up with your own ridiculous expectations and your own vision of how your life is supposed to be. So I think when I finally was like, yeah, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I've done exactly what I'm supposed to do. And guess what? I'm letting go and surrendering and trusting that I don't have to control the next step. I don't have to do that. It was just like that weight off your shoulders, right? That sigh of relief. It's like, okay, I can breathe now. Yeah, so relief.
So between the awareness and shifting your beliefs, which there were a lot of beliefs that were not exactly the truth that you discovered, how did that play out with the depression going forward, with the acceptance, the awareness? Where are you at today with the depression?
I think all of that came much later than resolving the depression. So it's almost like it's a stepping, like a staircase, right? Like the depression was here and I was like, okay, it's time, you know, I'm going to step out of it. So I'm kind of here. And this is now I'm functioning in society again, and I'm kind of growing back to normal level. I think the steps to get to the point of full acceptance and all of where I am now were not right immediately after.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it sounds like you gave yourself permission to take those baby steps in order to reach a stage where it's not the destination you're waiting for. It's that journey of healing and feeling at peace. you know, more so than I need to cure this depression. You were actually curing it by taking those baby steps every day. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly. And it wasn't even at that stage, I couldn't even picture that top step, or not even top step, whatever middle step I'm at now. I couldn't even picture that. It was literally like one foot in front of the other. And it was like, okay, what's next? I've got this. And it was like this slow growth of like, oh, there's my power coming back. There's my self-love, like all of that.
And I think the key word was giving yourself permission to celebrate the fact that today I got out of bed.
Yeah.
Because, and not to undermine that as something to celebrate. And by being able to do that, it allows us to take the next step, as opposed to undermining, oh yeah, big deal, I got out of bed, but it is a big deal. And it sounds like, because you allowed yourself that, it took you from there to where you are today.
And you know what? It's not even, just to add on to that, it almost gets to like a primal level. I find when you're in that place, I don't know your history well enough. I don't know if you've ever suffered from depression, but I definitely know that people who have suffered from it will understand what I mean by this, is that when you're in that state, you're literally in survival mode only. Like you can't even, and even at that point when you don't even want to survive, you can't see anything else. Like it's such tunnel vision of, it's almost like your body and your brain are like I said, in survival mode, and they're telling you, okay, wait, you're slowly dying here. Like, so we've got to do just the minimum to keep you alive, right? Like, it's so weird.
Well, that's our energy is being focused on that survival mode. It's like, okay, well, how can we change it up within the boundaries that we are in right now? And that's, by allowing yourself to say, I got out of bed today. That is huge. I'm sure, were a lot of fears surrounding all the different changes that you went through. How would you say you broke through some of those fears in order to take the action that you did?
I think, yeah, because that's a big one for me. I have a few people have actually said, like, how are you so fearless? And how are you? And I think, again, it's that progressive journey. So it's when you have a smaller fear, and or not smaller, okay, you have a big fear, but maybe it's at the beginning of your journey. And then you kind of go, okay, like I'm a solutions person, and I'm like famous for writing down my pros and cons lists and all my different options, right? It's like, okay, what are the many ways this can pan out? So for me, dealing with the fear on every level, it's literally writing on paper, what is the worst that can possibly happen? Like, what am I so afraid of? What is the worst? And I write it down. And then it's like, okay, so then what is the best that can happen? And then, okay, well, we're somewhere in between, however many options I want. Or other times I just do a straight pros and cons where it's like, this is this, this is that. But I think from there, and also it's almost like you get desensitized to the fears, because when you have different transitions and different experiences in life that induce a lot of fear, you kind of get used to it. And you're like, what now, fear? Bring it.
I love it.
But it's, so you kind of have your own groove, and then it's like, give me my piece of paper and give me my pen. I just need to write this stuff out. I need to get my options so I can combat my fear and know there's always options, and there's always friggin' choice. There's always choice. And I can't stress that enough when people, and I myself was there feeling so like lost, and I'm like, no, there's always paper and there's always pen, and you can always write down, and you can find a new path, right? Like
that is such a powerful message. And I could see the shift in your energy. You're talking about fear, but you are energized by having a plan of how to deal with it in order to be able to take action. That is very powerful.
it's funny, I'll just interject this, because right now we're moving houses. So, and we're moving cities. So we're literally living this again. And so it's like, oh, fear, you're back, are you? So, and it's not just like my mom's selling, we're selling. We're moving, like combining. And so we've got a very specific search so that we have a full granny suite, and it's got to be full light. And it's so like, here I sit in fear, and I'm like, it's all right. Like, I literally have said it to so many people. I'm like, it's going to pan out and it's going to be fine. And it's literally like, we're going to sell our houses, and the town we're looking in, we're like, oh my gosh, there's nothing that's fitting the needs. And it's like, okay. So we're going to sell our houses, but we know we're not going to be homeless. We can go rent an Airbnb and have a little vacation until we find whatever we need. Like, we can. So it's just reeling it in and kind of getting your mindset like, no, I got my pen and paper. Here's what we need. Here's what the universe is going to give us, because we've written it down. And how we're going to get there, it's just going to happen, and it's going to work, right?
Which, again, circles back to what you said, changing your perspective, but also facing fear. And having faith and moving forward with that in mind. Yeah, because we could just sit here paralyzed, right? By fear. You could just sit here and literally hide and be like, you know what, I'm going to do this norm, and I'm just going to stick to my day to day, and I'm going to do this, even though I can feel in my soul it's not the right thing. But you don't, because it's just fear. Absolutely. Was there any particular transition that you wanted to share with all of us that you have a strong message? Man, that's a deep one. I think there, and this will be, okay. For this one, it would be as far as like relationships go. I've had a few relationships, and I'm in my adult life where I have had to, exactly what I was talking about before, I've had to make a choice whether or not I want to stay in the norm and just status quo, keep the peace, just leave everything because it's okay, everything's fine, rather than follow my soul and make some tough decisions and some big fearful potential situations in order to honor who I am, and in order to have full confidence and love and trust in myself. So I think a big message for everyone would be, don't settle. Don't just, we only have this one life on earth right now. So when we're here, I have interesting beliefs. I have a combination of beliefs, but we only have this time. And if we don't learn these lessons that we're here to learn, guess what? You're just going to keep coming back, and you're going to keep learning these same things until it sticks. So optimize what you have right now. Live this life to the fullest, because I don't even think we have any idea of how much is out there if we just open our hearts and let it roll in, right? And just observe that one way of living and one way of thinking and judging others constantly is not the way to go. Like being open and accepting and loving people and choosing a life of gratitude, kind of overall wellness and health, but helping others, giving back to society. Like, that's the way to go. I don't think trying to do what society, keeping up with the Joneses or whatever that thing is, I don't think that serves anyone. I think finding out what your soul's purpose is and not stopping until you completely get it figured out, that should be the focus of everybody's life here on earth. Makes sense? Yeah, absolutely. It's about not fitting into anybody else's box. And you've actually displayed that, with the depression, with the relationships you were talking about. You've taken all that you've learned, the awareness piece and the acceptance piece, and how you take the action, you know, facing fear head on into all these transitions that you've been through, and you're walking the talk. And so it's a testament to that it actually works with that awareness and changing the beliefs and having that self-worth, that self-love brings you the confidence, and you know, and you have a lot of tools in your toolbox. Yeah. So and pretty much, you know, our goal is that what we would like to provide. It's definitely to provide hope for our viewers, but to be able to you know, provide a tangible takeaway that our viewers, you know, can add to their toolbox. So is there one tangible takeaway that you can share that led you to your next chapter?
Absolutely. Being unapologetically authentic and who I truly am without any embarrassment, fear of judgment, anything. Just be who you truly are, and don't try to, you know, be who they want you to be, or, you know, say the things. I still get scolded, even by my mom. I said something the other day and she was like, oh my gosh, don't say that. I'm like, I just did, and I'll say it again. Like, I am who I am, right? And I'm not ever, I've learned that I closed my mouth and didn't say things that I wanted to say in order to fit into what everybody wanted me to be. And I'm like, no, I'm friggin' hilarious. I'm full of energy. I totally put my foot in my mouth on a regular basis, but I'm fun and I'm awesome and I have a pure heart. So that's being truly authentic. That's all you've got to do. Even if you aren't, even if you don't think you're an awesome person, just being who you are brings you that confidence and brings you to that level where people see that, right? Like, you can meet people and you can know right off, like, oh, that person is true blue. If I fell in the river right now, they would jump in and they would help me. Like, I'll jump into the river. Just be that person who will jump into the river. But just be yourself, right? Like, no matter what that looks like, and your people will come to you. Like, you will draw the people who honor you and who lift you up and embrace you and just celebrate who you are. So I think that's the key. Just own it.
Yeah, own your power, be your authentic self. Beautiful message, beautiful takeaway for all of our viewers to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, that is all the time that we have for today, but I want to thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, your story, and your courage and wisdom, you know, sharing all that with us. And we look forward to having you back on to hear what the next chapter is for you.
I would love it. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be here, but thank you for giving me the opportunity too. I loved it. I love chatting with you, and I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to all our viewers. We appreciate you sharing your space with us, and we look forward to being with you next time.